Just so you know, before this for like 10 minutes, my audio on my entire PC wasn't working for some reason. It was interesting. I think it's working now. Double checked. So we don't have to sit in front of a silent demo and then I can't watch like YouTube videos for the rest of the day. It would be highly annoying. So that's sorted, and now we can finally watch this game. I said it last time before I realized the audio is bugged out that I haven't seen this yet. I know the scoreline because you literally can't get demos without finding out the scoreline. But I don't know how this came to be, and that's probably more interesting anyway. Product is the start, which is an odd pick, but you know, Se7en feels confident. And Ascent knowingly was pretty solid at it, so let's see how this goes. We have Stark going behind immediately. Drag plays slow, which is interesting. But he doesn't react to it at all, which is concerning, because Stark has a lot of time, given how aggressive Ascent is playing, to do anything here. Captain jumps up front, which throws his corner back a bit, which could help Stark. Doesn't play off the medic being pushed on, just tries to get onto the Dowerman. Alaku still hits the pipe onto Captain. Se7en is just trying to stay alive right now and like get something done. Drag was straight on the medic. Credo went behind with this as well, probably got triggered by something on top of just going aggressive with everybody else. But there's just this lack of a clear goal for Ascent. Like, look at that, 3 people went behind. And like, Credo was the only one who got kills there on the aggressive part. Alaku got one just staying back. This was such a mess for both sides, but Ascent kind of wanted it that way, more so than Se7en. I don't know, if the drag jumps this late, he should have probably reacted to Stark going behind. Didn't exactly see if Stark was the one killing medic or not, but he was in position to do it. He just opted to go for Alaku instead. So slightly better starting for Ascent. Raymond is really weak still, is trying to spam them out. Could have gone for it, but the pack is there, so Raymond has to fall back on. They just want to take space away. Credo on the left side takes a bit of a fight. They lose both scouts though, which is really bad. Granted, they don't have the point cap yet, so it's not the end of the world, but they started this on the upper hand, this entire second mid fight here. And the soldiers went super deep, and Se7en is doing a good job of dealing a lot of damage to them right now. Still might die there. The arrow doesn't come in time it does. Still scouts around. They got Domo out of position, which was an easy kill. Still is there to just pepper in some damage. But Drag is super weak, it's for back. Still was kind of weak to begin with. And like I said, they don't have scouts. It's product. Captain can just jump in, deal a lot of damage, and the scouts are there to just do the rest of the work. So you can just mostly sit back, and that's it. You need to value your scouts there a lot more than Ascent did. They had the scouts basically go in before the soldiers did any meaningful damage. The soldiers forced them back, which is good. But then the scouts were starting to go like across the point with not much backup. Credo at least got like the Alaku kill, or not the Alaku, the Domo kill out of this one. And that's the Stark's playing flank a bit. Everybody on Ascent is mostly left. Except for Alaku, who's mostly right. Which at least keeps Stark at bay, but Connor already took 100. So you have to be careful either way. Especially with Connor having. I mean, getting forced is one thing, but just dying on 90 is a whole different story. Amp goes aggressive. Gets the kill onto Flash. Stark could push back, which is exactly how they got in there in the first place, but Credo couldn't get through. And Se7en is just rotating as well in front of that. This is just mostly a flank fight right now. Like, the demos are staring each other down. The medics just have to keep in mind they need to heal people that need heals, but Ascent has people way more in deep. Se7en can just sit back a lot more. And sure, both teams are bleeding a lot of numbers. But this is just a little bit of a weird. Drag just directly jumped into that. And I hoped to get something, but Drag couldn't deal any damage there anymore. So really weird fight. Kinda liked Se7en's passiveness there a bit more, and in the long run it was working out. Casil just single jumped at the end for no reason. More or less anyway. So I kinda liked Se7en holding back a bit more. Granted, Ascent had to approach in some way. But this was just like purely a case of outnumbering each other on the flank. Like the demos really didn't do much in the entire fight. They just kept each other out of the fight. Alright, classic case of just popping through to get the exchange out, which is common, but you need a plan for the post Uber, because during the Uber there's so little you can do. And you should be aware of that. They kind of realize they don't have a scout on the Uber here, Se7en, which is kind of bad. Like, Demoman can juggle people, and if he does, he's insane. Because he has to deal with so much stuff coming his way. They have Stark behind, actually. This is kind of good. This is actually really good. If Stark would drop down in front of them and not next to them. So slightly messed up for Stark, but he can still make up for it if he gets some kills. Gets Elacur, still died earlier, trying to get behind. So yeah, I criticize not having Scout there, but the soldier being behind is kind of nice as well. Still, Connor shouldn't have survived that if you had a player behind. Like, in perfect position to stop him. Still, it's not like Se7en lost the exchange, they just could have won it more, basically. As it stands, it's a pretty even one, because the spawns are fast enough that it's affordable to trade. On Ascent, obviously with the added caveat that they still lose time here, which is bad. Okay, Ascent tries to come forward on the non-Uber situation. Se7en wants to approach them, but the Drag just goes in deep in front of his team, trying to make some space. With some early damage, even if he dies, and he will. But look at that, he got the Demoman, he helped Elacur get Tiger really early. Difference is though, Captain and Valash even, were super aggressive as well, just meeting them. So instead of just letting them take space, Se7en right now is just meeting them halfway. Not with the entire team, but with enough people that nobody can get in for free. While they still have some people on their combo, which made their combo a little bit more vulnerable, hence Drag getting the kill onto Dorbo. But they immediately backpedaled when they needed to in case something happened to Raymond. Again, not a risky approach by any means, but it's a calculated risk, where they deal a lot of damage to incoming players. And it got the Connor kill again. Just granted all they need right now. Stark overextends them a little bit, trying to force some damage onto Cliff. Will go down. It's less affordable death. Damage comes in again. Se7en complies to using. And it's not a bad opportunity, because Ascent is slowly but surely getting into the position where they have to do worse and worse plays, because they don't have much else choices available to them, with how little time there's left, and we're getting into the territory. So they just try to force them, but they have the medic forward. This is the only thing they get. Se7en had to take a lot of damage before that even happened, so post-Uber Se7en is really, really weak. So it still more or less works for Ascent here, if they get the final kills in, which so far is looking really likely. Tiger and Captain are the only one on decent health. Dark just got an arrow, but in the meantime 2 people died, while Raymond is healing people, so... Ascent's really unfortunate not being requested there, but they don't have heals themselves. So this is really unlucky for Ascent to not catch Raymond, because that's exactly what they needed here right now. Like, you can have such a huge time deficit on product, but as long as you keep your advantage up from the point where you get back onto the point, you can recover if you play really well. Now Se7en has just got continuously the upper hand until they get back to the point. Nash takes the fight with a few too many scouts on the left, but for the most part they just want to bait the point right now. Even if they die here, as long as Raymond gets out, they can just re-push off ahead. More or less. They kind of misplay it a little bit, they lose a few too many people, but they have the Uber to fall back on, like I said. It was probably played it a little bit more passive, but they get back to it. Although, Ascent as well, even with little time, they know how much time they have to make a play here, so they just backed off, kept Connor safe, and know that they have about 10 seconds once they have the Uber to get back to the point. Use this Uber to the most effect they have. Se7en backs, or Raymond survives for now, which is all they need. Because Se7en has plenty of time to make use of this advantage, and it's 40%. And Ascent doesn't even catch anything with this, so... Se7en's initial Uber wasn't amazing by any means. It would have been serviceable if they had much less time on the point, and not like 20 seconds. But they realized, they played accordingly, went back quickly, and made sure nobody died to this Uber. Most importantly, not Raymond. Everybody else could have died, for what it's worth. Although, if somebody dies, then preferably with somebody else dying on the other team. Because you have better spawns. Flash dies again early. It's not the first time this happens. Tiger as well almost nice. And they can't afford to peek as aggressively as they are right now. They just need to play around the Evo right now. There we go. They can't afford to wait forever. 70% almost on corner already. Try to force them back. Ascent needs to play this smart right now. And they back off quite a bit. They lose to 3 players. Okay, this is now getting into dangerous territory. They almost have. So they can make up for mistakes, but you know, there's 5 people in front of them, so getting forced here is really, really likely to happen. And yeah, they've just played safe pop on any form of damage coming in. Still gets a kill. Alako tries to chase something down, takes a bunch of damage for it. Captain and Tiger went behind, and this is basically the win condition. There's way too few people once the Evo fades. And Se7en just uses the outnumber factor there. So yeah, I think the main difference here is that Se7en's played smarter off of their own mistakes and recovered better from them. Whereas Ascent was a little bit more linear. Star going aggressive, still going behind left. Starco is just rotating through, doesn't get out of it. Back tries to pump in some damage. Domo Tiger aggressive on the point. Scouts are currently just keeping out the soldiers, which is kind of what you want, but they were busy with flank a lot, so Domo Tiger tried to go aggressive on the point onto a lonely Alako. Get a kill, take a bunch of damage for it. The main factor right now is that Ascent is playing aggressive, while one of the soldiers is having a really long flank, which is still just now coming back to the fight. And effectively, for the majority of this fight, they played this 5v6. And for what it's worth, still baited the team there. Hits a nice air shot, but that doesn't really make up for the fact that Connor already died. That should probably quite down this Raymond catches him with something. Either with an arrow or just a beam. But now he won't. Anyway, they had like really bad numbers for the majority of this fight. That was just a matter of like really conflicting ideas. With such a long attempt to wrap around by Sil, they couldn't afford to lose drag like straight away and still try to play aggressive while lacking the damage that like any soldier would provide. So Se7en had a much easier time for the most part here. Like I said, Connor died, so there's options you have. Sack Wave, just try to play non-uber for force and get your medic out in time. The latter obviously being much more risky, or just hope for the best with a sniper. Which we haven't seen any of so far, and you know, it's quite a... Anyway, they try to wrap around from all the way on the left, trying to catch Raymond. They find him, they find some damage, but it's coming too late. And that's the classic... Actually, no, it's not. Why did everybody sack that? That's just not good. That wasted like 10 seconds. And it doesn't sound like much, but you know. They're already a minute down. Like Captain's attempt, like high bomb people that he doesn't see. Classic pyro to break this. And it gets through, they're busy trying to shoot the pyro. The soldiers go high, get past everything else, get the force. People die, doesn't matter. Preferably you want to kill something here because you have better spawns, so by the time you repush they are still one down. But it's not too big a deal if it doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, as long as you get the force, which should be your main concern here, it's all fine. And I like that Connor played like really safer. Too many times I see medics going really close onto this side here, trying to beam people in. Which sure helps having a buff and stuff like that, but at the same time, if a soldier just walks past everything, your medic just dies. And it happened too many times this season already. Early jump in by Captain, gets the force. That's a bit of a risky decision to make. Because if Captain doesn't get the force, then they just gave up a player and already gave up the space, because they went back knowing that Captain is capable of getting the force now. And if he just doesn't, if Ascent denies that, then they just gave up the point for free. Which is not what you want. But that didn't happen. They played it somewhat close, which baits out the Evo pretty early, which is kind of great. And people over-chased her, like you could just tell. The scouts went way too deep, and the moment the Uber flashed off them, because Greyman obviously didn't go with that. It's the responsible party here as the medic. They were just hit with a rocket the moment the Uber flashed off them. So that's a mistake by Se7, and nice reaction by Ascent as well, realizing how they want this Uber to come out of Se7. By just baiting the really badly drag, just got air blasted to death. Amps shouldn't feed there as well. I should have only lost track. Which is stupid enough as it is, but still. Like getting air blasted by a pyro that you want that is a bit more excusable than just a scout walking and chasing things that he doesn't need to. Like single kills don't matter now as much. And you can't afford dying as much on defense as much as on offense. So your forward hold has to be given up. Se7en has. Now Domo is kind of weak. So he's not really on this. Se7en pops in, Ascent replies. Goes really deep with this. And that works pretty well. Se7en expected another exchange like we've seen them before, I'd imagine. Where they can just like pop, like the way Ascent did it basically before them. Pop in, wait out the enemy Uber, leave, and then try to repush. Ascent had none of that. They just pushed past the combo to get everything that wasn't near Raymond. And by the time the Uber fades, which was not much, but slightly better for them, time-wise, they had enough people standing to just kill Raymond as well. Again, that depends a lot on like minor positioning, which I didn't like look at too much right now. But if you see the medic just really far away from everything else, it's perfectly a viable thing to do. Anyway, Se7en, being the ones down on time right now, and Uber, want to just try playing aggressive. This is what I was talking about earlier as well, instead of forcing, which was the sack wave, they went forward with heals. And again, Ascent is just playing aggressively into that. And Se7en hasn't adjusted to that yet. Losing both soldiers is unfortunate. Stark didn't need to get chased there. He should have died. As in, he's a threat if he doesn't, because he could still jump in and try to get the medic. But that was so far apart from each other that Drag shouldn't have died for that. Or at least not like went for that the way he did. Probably should have just gone back later on instead. Because they're up now anyway, so... There we go, Captain with a really nice jump. Querdu dies early as well. Where did that happen? Didn't see that. Oh, he just got dropped from the Uber. Okay, this is really sketchy now. That is basically what Se7en wanted in the first place earlier. Ascent just gave them much more space this time. And it will probably lead to them losing the fight. Connor actually survives because Amps threatened the medic, and they all were more concerned about Raymond surviving than killing Connor, because they already had advantage, and that's something you need to really quickly like realize. So many times your medic's life is just so much more valuable. Alright, sack wave from Ascent. They have a bit more time, so they can afford doing that. And they had plenty of time to get down Uber up as well. They get Stark, which isn't a lot, but it's something. Like, look at the spawn time, they'll still get the spawners back before Stark is back up. Assuming they play this before they have Uber anyway. Just checking out the situation. Also base the push, so everybody on Se7en is just back really quickly. And this is now Ascent's game to lose. Oh, look at this. This is bad start to the Uber because they're really concerned about the soldier going behind and they still don't catch him. Captain and Stark are doing so much while doing so little. And they're still concerned about the soldiers behind while the push comes up back in from the front line. Two scouts just walk over the combo. Se7en still exchanges numbers, but they will get Uber any moment. So as long as they play any amount of the point, it's fine. And there we go. Yeah, that just wasn't a great start to the Uber at all. And really smart by the soldiers as well. To threaten anything from behind. Which just meant that Ascent completely overreacted to the threat of something behind instead of keep going forward. And Se7en barely lost anything to the Uber in the end. I think Kaplan died. And that's about it. Alright, this is weird, because you don't see scouts going behind too much, and Se7en played with 2 solis left for the majority of the mid fights. More so than the soldiers went in deep with bomb soli anyway. So Kurdu even trying to do that is really weird. This time Ascent is not too left heavy anyway, like they did before. This time, you know, Amped Alaku going forward right, Drag just on the point. They'll try to probably help out Kurdu, but it's a bit too late. And Se7en is just giving up space right now, but they already have better numbers. Just a matter of damage right now. They heal back up. They have better health anyway. They had before, and now the damage comes in by Domo, and the soldiers just in position to perfectly deal with this as well. And Ascent just waited on the point the entire time now. Which just makes yourself such an easy target. Target Captain missing a few rockets. Health-wise, they're still in a really bad spot. That might kill Connor. It does. Berg dies as well. Yeah, Ascent wanna play this aggressive, and you can really tell they do. But it just always stops at the point and doesn't get any further. Even if Se7en didn't do much against it, really. They just waited it out, they got the first kill on the flank. And realized what needed to be done. Which is have the soldiers behind again. After a little bit of waiting, and then just collapse onto the point. Again, decent advantage after the mid fight. That's already 40 seconds gone. Anything more than 40 seconds if you trade Ubers is pretty solid. Ooh, losing 2 soldiers here isn't nearly as good now. Captain obviously more so than Star because he died way later. That's a minute already of the clock, which is alright. Given the advantage they played with. Can't be too upset about it if you were to lose it now. But let's see what Se7en has in store against the incoming push here. But there seems some nice interactions in, like between these Ubers. So far they're just mostly giving it up, playing it safe. They got another 20 seconds just like that, but just like spamming. Dark tries to get through, doesn't get any damage. Again, they haven't capped yet. There comes the proper sack wave this time. Strangely delayed, but got the job done. And yeah. I suppose that's the way to go about it. Just like you look like you give it up. And make a sudden jump in. Either way they have advantage, and the longer they delayed it, the more advantage they got out of it themselves. I suppose. And now they try to play it aggressive again. Ascent again meeting them up front instead of just waiting. Which gets Captain already. Some damage all across the board here and there. Still Stark will meet from the flank, Scouts and Demo go left. Over the point trying to get onto Raymond. Or at least like get people. And either Raymond will start dropping people or they force by proxy. Either which way it's good. And kind of both happens because Sil wins the fight on the flank. And Alaku gets Domo out of this is also big. Kadu is audible to lose here. Actually I say that, no he really isn't, because nobody is with the medic right now. And again, you know, they're killing everything with Raymond too. This advantage is smaller than it should be, but it's still there. He gets the point, but they have massive Domo gets amped body. Trap. Captain goes aggressive. Uncontested as well. Amps died obviously. Incredible is just too late to the combo. So Scout dies, the soldier is just on the case. And on this side, what else do you need? And then they just keep on winning the after sack fight as well. Ooh, nice pipe. Because Ascent was obviously busy trying to get Captain out of the picture. So everybody that wasn't Captain had an easy time getting in damage from the front. When he was distracting, basically. Well, he did more than just distracting, but you know. He got like 3 more kills out of that. After already getting the medic on advantage. Now they're here, Amps is going aggressive alone, which is, you know, not the greatest idea. And it's not the first time that happens as well. Nice double Solly stun gets flashed, but how much does that mean at this point? It will make a sack wave easier if that's the plan. Just raises the question why that wasn't the plan A, instead was the plan B. Anyway, still comes forward, gets some good damage. Back from the other side. Everybody else follows through with it as well. And again, no one is with Connor. And Am's delayed death made all of this really awkward as well. Because he just figured, I'm going with this as well, and then he just left Connor alone and spawn. And yeah, it's not like they lost a huge amount of advantage, but they already barely have time, so you better take everything you can get. Especially after a few beef viewers to begin with. Mike jumps through, gets denied, this time both Scots on the combo. Captain as well tries, gets piped and then shot down. 5 seconds left. Connor has now, so they could use if they need to. Domo over... Well, I mean, can you really call that overextending at this point? Sure, he kind of had. But it's not like they have many options there anymore. They lost the soldiers already. Medic and Scout are really far back, because with 4 people you don't want to fight this on this side anyway. Yeah, if anything, he should have probably jumped earlier with the soldiers, but at that point it doesn't make a difference what he's doing. If he died, he's still up for this in time, so... You know, even if the first attempt to sack was kinda beefed, the second one is good enough. Also, I appreciate Dormo kill mining immediately afterwards. Especially as the demo man. Somewhat understandable on any other class as well if you get behind after that. But it depends on how you want to play this. But the demo man should probably be behind at that point. At least the soldier and the scout have a few more options now. Drake is peppering it so much damage despite the pyro. I always say it because it's kind of funny to think about, but Se7en's pyros are kinda not nearly as good as our team's pyros, and it means so little. Because it's fucking pyro in 6s. But I'm always so sad when I see target flashes beef air blast. Nee. Not much to say about that, they popped through Ascent sword coming. Took quite a bit of damage, so still dies early. Quedu is quite weak and just going back for a pack here, which means they only have 4 in this fight right now. 3 of which on the beam and Alakura isn't, obviously. It's playing a bit further back, but as long as they have the battle over here, it's affordable. There's lots of time on the point, so they will have a lot of pressure later on. Which is about now. No heals, you just need to play numbers correctly, and for the most part they are. They lose corner, there's still a lot of time though. Question is it enough for Tiger to get on the point? Doesn't look like it. And yeah, Se7en was just read perfectly. And Ascent struggled with the exchanges a bit, so that's a good thing to see happen for them. Getting around on board in general is nice. Mid fights have been so far not in their favor, and despite winning, Credo switches classes. Which is interesting. The mid fights haven't been great in general, and speaking of Credo, he tends to die early on him at the moment. So maybe not that surprising. It's also just a general huge change of pace. He's still on Scout right now, yeah he is, okay, they do that. They didn't at the beginning of the season, but they do now. Switch him to Scout. Captain just goes behind straight away. Still is playing passive to deny anything going high, slash going for the sniper. Oh, Amps is dead now. That was a really nice stick by Domo.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Control point enabled. Alert. The control point is being contested.
And again, Captain did a lot of work without really dealing any damage. He was just threatening space and it pushed people into positions where everybody else, especially Domo, could just read position perfectly and deal so much damage. There we go, finally could hit some shots. Se7en got confident there, tried to play the point, and Sniper was still watching that. Oh my god, what up? Sackwave comes in, doesn't get food, Credu gets even a ham kill. So at the moment it's working. The question is how much longer this will last. They lose track, which is okay, because he's up any moment. You're working on your own VTF crosshair. The only experience I have with VTF stuff is like the hard background I have. I'm not too much of a crosshair fanatic like some people. But then again, I also don't play Scout. Alright. What's the play here by Se7en? This kinda looks like a sack wave, but also not really. Anyway, they got the sniper out of the equation while trading even numbers, which is okay in some ways, but they played really aggressive there. Which kinda defeats the purpose of any of that. If Raymond survives this, he's actually insane. How the shit did this happen? This was the most awkward thing I've ever seen, and Se7en wins it. They sacked for the sniper. Went for the... well, they didn't really go for the force, they just stayed close and Ascent just figured why not use into them. But somehow they failed to catch Raymond there, which is, I guess props to Raymond, because at least one good surf was in there and a few decent decisions. Anyway, Se7en has similar ideas, just like pop in, hope for the best. However, they actually catch Connor. Makes a huge difference. Stark feeds there as well, and he didn't need to at all. Credu gets the kill on top of that. So yeah, a few bad decisions by Se7en at the end of that, plus a good snipe by Credu. He immediately turned a decent Uber into just point lost immediately. And it didn't need to be this way at all. Like if everybody else was with Stark, then maybe, because at least they had some like position collectively, but it was just him. Even if you tried to spam people, it wouldn't mean much at all. Sends back on a point with the sniper. Time is mostly even. I was trying to play safe. He popped through, Domo in deep, tries to get onto the medic, doesn't have to beam on him the entire time. Everybody else is just reading the situation and leaves. For the most part, Rack gets caught, and lots of people chase on the left, still falls for it as well. Leaves the flank entirely open, and Se7en reacts to that really fast and just kills everything that isn't next to Connor. So that didn't start well, but Se7en again reacts really well. Sees weakness on stairs. Rotate some people there. Gets 1-2 kills and then just keeps on going to flank behind them while a single soldier was on the other side. To not have them just rotate away from them. And then they just completely pits at them under the bridge. Good is still sniping. They're getting destroyed here right now. They didn't have any position coming in. Well, Se7en moved forward at the exact right moment. And it's just farming right now.
Mission ends in 60 seconds.
Minute left on both clocks. But he's still insisting on playing sniper. Not like he didn't do any work, but in these messy fights it's tough to do it. Se7en backed off really quickly though, which is surprising because they had the opportunity to forward hold if they wanted to. And they did before, but they just lose their demo immediately. Flash gets spammed down as well. Do down pretty quickly without Raymond doing any of that. Which I guess is the silver lining here. Whoever gets to use the Ascent just needs to play this well right now. Which they are. See it coming, react accordingly. And Se7en can't chase too much post Uber either way because there's a sniper around. So I'll just try to keep playing on aggressive, getting the Uber to use early, maybe get the kill on top of that. Preferably the sniper. Doesn't happen though, Tiger gets called out as well. Domo goes deep, misses a pipe, that's the drop. I didn't see Captain. That's the beauty of the late sack. Like usually, it's always better to do like 4 people throwing themselves at the medic collectively. But there's a reason why delayed sex can still work, and that shows pretty decently why. Like, Domo jumped in, everybody was on him, and Captain took his sweet time to jump now to the point where everybody had their eyes on anything but him. And he had the perfect opportunity to just read where Connor's going. And jump where he lands after the surf. Which is also something that a delayed sack has in favor of, like, sacking collectively. Which is, if you sack with 4 people at the same time, everybody's gonna go where the medic is. And if the medic hits a good surf on a single rocket, nobody's close to him anymore. By doing it this way, you have the perfect opportunity to have some damage come in early, the medic will surf, and then the second guy comes in where the medic will land. Obviously it's better if you do it with more people, but Se7en didn't have anyone else up besides Kaplan and Domo. That's the game. So yeah, really interesting game actually. I like the Uber interactions especially. With how they reacted to each other's Ubers. There was a lot of variety in how each team did it. But overall, Se7en did that exactly better. Would make made a big difference. Alright, Gully. Map I like. Stark is going quick to enemy side. Tiger's World is coming back up with Echo's drop down, still comes from the other side. I don't feel like he should have landed there, he should have just gone straight for elbow, I think. Stark and Tiger are boxing them in a little bit. Mostly Amps, more so than anybody else. He's waiting for heal on corner. Captain reacts, tries to jump in, gets the air shot onto Kadu. Where did Sil go? Am I blind? Probably him. Back is still and drop down. So Se7en is just starting this off relatively aggressively. And it works decently well, they cornered him quite a bit. Which leaves Alakos the only threat at the moment. Captain actually, with a really nice play there, after his initial jump, just dropped down immediately, obviously to dodge damage, but instead of just doing like nothing at all. He took his time, went drop down. Tries to cut people off even more. People on both sides are quite scattered. Se7en lost too early. The soldiers tried to demand from behind. Don't quite get as much as they probably hoped for, because people were just not in choke. Which they probably tried to prey on. But they did a lot of damage, forced them back. Connor died though, that's the big difference. Captain with the heads up drop down play and all of that. Did a lot of work there. So overall a mixed bag of a mid fight for both sides. Elakur just feeds. Like if you peek like that and don't know what's around the corner, you better have 6 ready. So you get spotted and that's bye midpoint. I mean they would have lost it either way, but now Se7en had effectively no threat of getting force here. And with 2 down there's even less of a threat on second. Like the worst that could happen was a sniper in shutter or something. He could be in forwards because nobody forward spawned. So that's not even a threat that you need to keep in mind. Also realizing that and not forgetting what the fact that nobody could be in forward spawn is always nice. Alright, Uber straight in from left. Over river straight over to the right side. 3 people are not really on this field. Captain is just going delayed, everybody else is just taking time to get in on this, which isn't necessarily bad because, you know, during the Uber, as long as the gun is still up, nobody else can really come in anyway. So it's not like that's necessarily a bad thing. That was a really close resub binder for the soldier. Otherwise he would have died. Anyway, Se7en loses 2 on entry. Captain gets taken down by Sil. Playing on top there. And by doing that alone, Sil had much easier time. Did Sil just kind of phase through the ceiling? I think that just happened. Anyway, they get 2. I don't know where Flash died. Didn't look at that specifically. I maybe see his scattergun on the ground somewhere. I didn't see that. Well, I suppose that's him, never mind. So Captain wanted to come in delayed and everybody else was even more delayed than him, which isn't quite what they probably wanted. If the captain wasn't alone, then that probably would have been a lot better for Uber. Still not amazing because they dropped Flash early on, and he was the scout on Uber. So that was just on whoever called Uber now.
Alert. The control point is being contested. Time has been added.
Alright, sorry for that. Okay, so nice force down, by the way, on mid. Just realized they're coming from drop down. Doesn't play in any stupid position, anticipating choke. Se7en is having to deal with this flank right now. They're trying to just overwhelm them, but it's not working. They can react pretty fast. They take a bunch of damage for it. Raymond almost died, but he didn't force at least.
Alert. The control point is being captured.
So nice reaction again by Se7en. Realize what's going on. React accordingly. If you rotate like the whole combo to big door before the flank gets overrun. Which, it's a matter of time now. If they do that, but this flank already died, they're just gonna most likely at least get forced. Okay, do some pyro. They have even Uber here. So just using in isn't that great of an idea necessarily, unless you have a really good repush opportunity, but that's where the pyro comes in. I'd assume try to deny a bit, but even then, as long as you play it safe, you can probably get an even exchange out of this, but that's probably not what Se7en wants either. I think the main factor here right now that is better for Se7en than on the average last situation is that there's no gun up right now, which makes life in general a little easier. Forces are that much more likely. Like I said, exchanges are a lot more likely, even with the pyro. You just have a lot more freedom right now. Question is, what is the exact plan here? They're taking their sweet time, and that happens every once in a while with Se7en. That's something, I suppose. Not quite a sack. Well, I mean, it's kind of a sack. But it was heavy. Which I guess is almost a sentry gun. The soldiers keep taking 1v1s. They keep getting baited into fights. And Se7en knows how to get into those. Because the soldiers keep playing pretty aggressive, which isn't necessarily bad by itself. But if you are there, as far forward as both of them were, and then decide to take the fight instead of just playing it careful, that's just bound to happen. Anyway, they try to get something with the sniper, they lose Alaku, and that's the really bad pick. And that's the kind of situation Se7en likes. If they feel like they struggle on last, they just opt to do anything else on second instead. Tiger dying is unfortunate, but no demo means that the point is so much more vulnerable, so they try to get something on the point early, but Amps wins the 1v1. Which makes life a whole lot more sketchy. Flash tries to as well. And again, it might seem stupid, and in a way it is, because it's at least not risk-free. But as long as it's a calculated risk that you calculated well, it's perfectly fine. All that Ascent has done so far is exchange Ubers here. And it was a really passive exchange on top of that, so it's not that threatening. Try to force people through. Se7en is playing careful. Not letting anything get to Raymond in the first place. Again, only one kill. But it's a super safe one, and they try to catch them before position is back, and it works. The heavy wasn't on the field yet. With one player down, that's effectively... Like, sure, Kredu was just coming out of spawn, but he wasn't in position to shoot anybody. So the moment the soldiers went in, while Ascent was moving back still, there was just effectively 4 people on the field. And that's what Se7en wants. They don't care if they can't break an even Uber stalemate. As long as you can't make it to second, they're happy. even if it's small things, they know what they're looking for. People out of position plus a single kill is sometimes all you need. Pyro gone, that's another kill. I'm surprised they haven't... No, never mind. I wanted to say I'm surprised we haven't seen anything go to the point, but Captain is coming under the point and nobody else is there. So it's an easy time. By the time he commits, everybody else is just coming in there as well. Still is still watching that, but there's so much time on it. Dark is there now too. That should be around pretty much now. Yeah, really well done by Se7en. They just slowly whittle down their opponents on these last points. Not as great of a strat if they're on a disadvantage, obviously, but if that were to happen this game, I'm curious to see how that goes instead. Because right now they can't take their time as much as they want. Alright, again, Stark, Tiger aggressive on enemy side, trying to just get some early damage, maybe get a kill. But most importantly, don't die there themselves, so they try to back off early. Drag still go high. Still trying to play the same position as last time. Decent damage, but still will die for it. That's the first death. Committing to that position now. Tiger gets baited in as well to try to get the kill on this hill. Both scouts react to that. Both scouts drop down. Just a small window of opportunity, but it's as much as you can ask for sometimes. Dark is using it at least. Drag on that point as well. So Connor and Alico are really easy targets right now for a moment. In order to get some solid damage in. Stark as well takes a lot of it. Flash also sees amps coming, which is really good. And still wants to hold against it. Drag just jumps up because why not? Straight onto Domo. Obviously not what he was looking for, but it's a kill alright. And it draws people back. Which means Credo and Alico have a bit easier time to shoot some damage onto people that are not actively trying to kill them. Captain should die here. Drag might as well. He's dodging for his life. Yeah, really well played of Drag's jump actually. Again, a pretty close mid-fight for the majority of it. And just one good decision makes the difference.
Alert. The control point is being contested.
And well playing off it accordingly. But then there's also moments like Amps just going in alone from behind. With not much happening at the moment. So he just kinda dies. Again, they're peeking in here aggressively. This time Alico isn't alone. And gets rewarded for it this time. Only one kill. And they already have a spy on the field. So what's the plan here? Se7en has to be thinking about stuff right now, because they lost one in a situation like this. Why wouldn't they sack for something? Why even try get the kill in the first place then? So yeah, spy or somebody off-classing to sniper is getting more obvious by the second. Doesn't matter as much though, because the distraction was really well done. And he gets Dark on top of that as well. So that worked perfectly. Classic stuff. Distraction play, plus spy play from behind. Works just fine in this instance here. Unfortunate that the soldier also died, but it's affordable. Especially with them getting two. With Stark dying, and not just Raymond, this is even better. Now they just need to actually take it before using themselves, and it all has been worth it. But it looks like Se7en is giving it some more or less. They, however, are a lot more defensively set up here now. They have a gun and a pyro, and not just like either or. Who gets used through, tries to get past the pyro. Interesting play there with Sil, and it still doesn't deal enough damage. They eventually get the gun, but they also lose everything. I don't know where Captain was coming from, but flanked around a lot of damage. Cut people off and just a disaster. It felt like they wanted to kill everything at the same time. And at the end of the day, everything was still standing at the end. I mean, the sentry did eventually die, but it didn't make much of a difference. Aggressive approach here by Ascent, they will lose like 3, maybe 4 people. Amps is behind right now. Honor is still not out of this yet. So again, not worth it whatsoever.
The control point is being contested.
Severely rushed play right there. At least Ella could get some kills in the meantime,
Time has been had.
but it doesn't really change anything. It's just a matter of being like a little bit more careful at the moment, waiting for the scouts to come back in.
The control point is
But
being
they'll have advantage afterwards. Even if they might even lose a bit here. Like the main goal of the situation was to get out of last, and they did that, and get an advantage out of that. You can't really complain. Camps is really aggressive on the flank. And almost died for it. Surprisingly he didn't. And it would be a rather pointless death. Because you'd rather commit lives to the actual force. She's doing a good job for doing a lot of damage. Like, doesn't quite get the kills he wants. They all come forward with this. They have about 90. They get stuck for amps. Kepler's weak gets scattered down as well. And while the force didn't work, they knew the aftermath of the damage is gonna be that Se7en is so much slower into mid to the point where they have now. Locker gets dropped from this Uber. That's just the end of the story, really. Se7en is just too far back to chase. Especially without a demo that can like lock off Shutter in any capacity. So that's a really bad dropped player right there. Of all the players that Connor could have dropped, Elaku in that situation was probably the worst that could have happened. At least means the situation is back to even, which, given how we got to this point, is slightly better for Ascent than Se7en, but it's not a lot. Anyway, they try to get things behind. They get 2 behind, which is a start. But things need to happen fast because if Se7en realizes what's going on, it makes it vulnerable. At the moment, they don't. Forced early here, just a bit sketchy. What did they use in the first place? I really don't understand. They got 2 kills safely. The flank wasn't in anymore, at least. Like, they were weak, they wanted to go back for health. Why not wait a moment? It's not like the spawns were coming back already. Again, just a bit of a rush decision by Ascent, I feel like. Where the weird aggressive style got them 2 players behind perfectly, got 2 kills with that. Now just take a moment to heal up. Realize where people are and pincer them with the players you have behind. For an Uber exchange that's in favor for you instead of even or worse. Or in this case, not an exchange to begin with. Se7en didn't need to use that at all until now. And yeah, they had the pieces in place. And they just like tossed the puzzle away at the end for no reason. Oh no, it's a bit of a more calm stalemate right now. Both teams, after a bit more of a hectic stalemate scenario we've seen before, actually taking a bit more time here. Trying to figure out what they want to do. Ascent is also much more forced to do stuff right now, which doesn't mean that Se7en won't do anything. That's just how much risk it's actually gonna involve. So far they try to do similar thing, which is try to throw a lot at flank, hope something is close enough to die to 3 people. Nothing was, Tiger just goes behind with it, which is still not bad. Especially if he wins the 1v1. This is the second one, but they just go straight in with the exchange. Still was left alone. Connor's like severely out of position to save anyone. So the decision worked out. Quick rotation away from anything there.
The control point is being captured.
Se7en tries to rotate behind them, but they made it really obvious what they were doing. And they just gave Ascent all the time in the world to react to that. while they themselves didn't react accordingly either. Like, they weren't even on the point yet, and the soldier already sacked for a single scout on the point. Which is a bad fight in general, but the combo was still close enough to help out if they needed to. And Ascent wasn't even fast to react on any of that. Se7en was just so easily explodable now. Like a mid-team could have seen that coming. Which is a shame, because they played better up until that point. For the force and stuff like that. They just needed to take the fight up front, I think. Anyway, work gets used. Again, they drop 2 people early, the gun gets taken down eventually. They get Domo, which is alright, try to get them from another point. It's a decent start. I think they should have gone for Raymond here instead of the point. They have bad numbers, but they try. And at least they do it together, which makes a huge difference. And the point is open, so never mind me. That was actually decently executed there. With the soldier jumping high, Ella coming at the same time and scout under the point. To just get the damage in quickly, despite the bad numbers. Worked just fine. So Ascent ties it back up after Se7en had one good play into terrible play into a not so great last hold. So just go high, try to react to each other. Nice rocket by Drag. Would Captain Kratos that? He might actually. Yeah, he didn't. Drag tries to land, that deals a lot more damage to Flash. Stark dies trying to probably play. Yeah, Stark did the same thing he did last few times, which is just go aggressive enemy side. Deals a lot of damage though, and Captain can just throw a random rocket onto enemy side and get the kill. That is decent efficiency right there. Now they can just hold S the entire rest of the mid fight. Keep Raymond alive. Bit sketchy at the end, but still shouldn't be getting anything here. And there we go, they chase him as well. Still escapes with the escape plan. Just barely, but you know. Captain did his job. He already killed the medic, so you know, what else can you ask for? With like the most stray rocket across the point ever. From like his own elbow. Which is just a good thing to have happened in general. Like there was nothing else he could have done down there anyway. And the bare minimum was surprisingly good this time. And some spy gets spotted immediately. Se7en realizes, let's just go in. Drag's the only hindrance on second. They know the spy is somewhere, but as long as they are fast, he won't do anything, and he messes up there. Accidentally doesn't realize he doesn't have no cloak left. He goes straight in, gets the gun. Spy's still down, so they still have a pick here. Captain slow from under point. This time still is with him, which will help. Drag Pyro out as well. Captain still trade effectively. Drag's on the point as Pyro. Deals a bit of damage. Connor and Collier are still in spawn. Which is good and bad, because they're alive, but they're still in there. Which means as long as there's decent execution on the point play, it's fine. And they can get 2 kills here easily. Flash is baiting a bit there. He should have just come in with Soldier, but Domo was there as well, so that makes up for it. There we go. But Connor gets in time. The question is, do they get on the point in time? The answer is no, surprisingly enough. I think they just strafed way too big a circle around the point before they press D into it. And they might have had reaction time to do that. But I don't know. Doesn't make a difference in the end. This time Stark doesn't go aggressive early. He did it 3 times in a row, so eventually you need to catch onto it, I guess. Captain is also just flying around circles. Back in still same position we've seen before, pretty much. Another point. Stark's waiting, Captain's waiting. The both soldiers are kinda doing the same thing. They went about doing it differently. Stark took a bunch of damage early on. Amps finds that. Went drop down forward. Puts the fight. Captain, obviously over the point, makes himself like visible while he gets where he wants to be. So that's much more reactable to begin with. And yeah, just really slow mid by 7.
The control point is being contested.
That gets reacted on good. I can't even say perfectly, because there wasn't much that you needed to do better than average in order to get it. They just played pretty slow with soldiers that were predictable. Amps gets the Raymond kill as well, which is just great, obviously. It's probably the best thing that happened this round for them.
Our control point is being captured.
Alright, this is just riding momentum right now. They get second on top of mid. They get into lobby for free.
Has been added.
Basically straight into last. But obviously they had worse conversion rate into last than Se7en had so far. But this time, they just play straight from shutter, no bullshit, straight onto the gun, straight onto the pyro, get both. Still see Stark behind immediately, which again is also a pretty common situation for the defending team to try to use, which is the soldier behind. Try to cut off exit, come in from the back lines, not spotted early. Like Captain right now. Get some kills from behind and try to save the situation, which he kinda is right now, because the demo dying more so than the medic right now is good. Because obviously the last push isn't over yet. Somehow that missed. And we drag Amps onto the point, deal a lot of damage to Domo. Still comes in as well. Kinda does the weird thing to shoot Raymond here, which I don't agree with necessarily. Because Domo should have died. Which means Drag wouldn't have died. But Kredu wins the fight over there and still has the time to clean it up. If that was any closer health-wise, like if Se7en's players had a little bit more health all across the board, still shooting the medic instead of the demo man would have probably caused them to lose the round there. As it stands, it's fine. And they still had enough time to just clean up everybody. And it was just a solid push all around, besides Captain getting in behind. It could have been a lot worse if Stark got there as well. And it keeps being close 2-2 to the scoreline. Amps still just go straight in for Stark. And again, they start catching onto the soldier plays really quickly right now. Dragon from drop down behind, spotted. But with one down, he's still a threat. Captain and elbow right now. While everybody's playing passive, he's not too much of a threat because they can just take their time. Same on the other end, but at that point, if both die, Se7en is just gonna have the worst end of this because they're already down 2. They effectively left to get the kill in the first place, which in that situation might not even be the bad choice. Because at least they don't get ambushed to drag while they want to leave later. But at that point, by the time they leave to get him safely, they basically admitted defeat on a mid-fight to begin with. Which isn't probably the worst decision. But it's obviously a move to not lose instead of winning. But it's just further proof to how much Ascent is just reading them like a book in terms of soldier plays on the mid at the moment. And this is one of Se7en's favorite maps, so you know, it's good for Ascent to be on a similar level on this. So again, a bit of a slow stalemate, both teams take a bit of time. Stark just tries to come in from choke. Captain lets him through, but they have 2 scouts there. Stark takes some freedom, jumps in, doesn't get much damage. Captain with some desperate spam, and sure, it killed Connor before, but last time, Stark actually dealt like 100 damage just to counter beforehand. Aggressive play here by Ascent, and I can understand why Alaco was doing what he wanted to do, but I don't understand why Amps would also feed at the moment, or at that time. He like Alaco got called out for his position being forward, but Amps just opted to also feed on top of that. People are forward, but they can't really do anything from there.
Alert. Our control point is being captured.
Rotation back up by Ascent. They lose a player on the way. Connor is just gonna get forced here. Alone. And again, just not a heads-up play by the scouts. Se7en wants to execute off of this quickly, but it's just huge meat right now that they might still end up winning.
The control point is being contested.
Just barely, because the scouts were spawning already. But sometimes that's what you need, just this really small window of opportunity for spawns come in. It's sometimes a really tough decision to make, because unless you have like a stopwatch at all times for spawns, you could easily be wrong by plus minus like 2 seconds at all times without calculating when the spawns come back onto the field, which could make all the difference. If the scouts were faster by like a second there, everybody would have been dead on that 7. Anyway, this time Captain goes fast, and that might be the change they need. Gonna surfing for his life.
Alert. The control
And sure, he survived that, but he's on like 10 HP, so will it actually end up keeping him alive? That's the whole different story. They deal so much damage early, granted. They sent the soldier aggressive, everybody else went pretty aggressive, aka the soldiers did. And Stark went for the big wraparound, which is actually really interesting in this position. This Captain dealt so much damage there. Alright, sorry for that.
time has been added.
So 7 wins that at the end. Oh, not 7, Ascent even. Good with names.
Alert. The control point is being alert.
I like the bit between Captain and Stark on this mid-fight, which is the only thing I was able to pay attention to, unfortunately. Speaking of Stark and Captain, this goes decently well. Get some kills. That's the third one.
Alert.
Ascent wants to wrap around, which is a choice for sure.
Point is being contested.
And much like 7's attempt to do the same thing, it's not going anywhere.
Time.
Because there's nothing on mid to do anything about it. And that's what I keep on saying about backups. Which is, if the backup is the only thing that happens during a backup, you might as well not do it. Unless you like are really desperate to get around on a board and you're a single scout. Because as it stands, they were behind and nobody could do anything about the rotation. And even if they came back, they had worse numbers anyway.
Our control point is being captured.
And they would have died either way if they came back. So it's a lose-lose situation. They try to get themselves into it like willingly. And you want something else on top of that backup at all times. Otherwise you just make yourself predictable. Anyway, Uber straight in by 7. A bit early given that there was only level 1. But if they play this well, it might as well just go well. So yeah, Heavy is a target and a missed pipe. And maybe some missed scattergun shots, I don't know. Cost credit to survive all of that and just walk over them still as well, did some damage. Starken on the left tries to make up for it by killing Connor, doesn't get it. Captain on the point died on top of that. Raymond dies. I guess still under the point. We've seen him back at least. He wins the first fight. Which is good. Not because it will win them the round right now, but it will not lose them second. Most likely. Or at least not anywhere close as fast. And again, this is what 7 plays on, just mistakes onto second. And target delaying there might make this easier.
Point is being contested.
If they're able to do anything off of this. Dark cleaning spy here isn't even that stupid. Because if you contest a bit, the spy has an easy opportunity to do something. Nobody does though. So unless he backups, I don't know what he's doing. No, he's going for it. Ascent is just playing slow. He gets dragged, which is okay. Ascent is just taking the sweet time to come back in here. And they really don't want to use. And this would have been better if Drag didn't die, so, you know, that's a positive. Anyway, they tried to chase. Se7en had like 10 years to react to that though. So they get the point, now they have to leave really fast. Because Se7en's about to have. And not using earlier was actually really bad in hindsight. Because Se7en just got more advantage out of it. And it's not like it could have been much worse than this. But yeah, the spy player in the end didn't do anything. They needed to contest for that a bit. Which is risky because Connor already had. Which wouldn't have happened, I think. I'm not exactly sure on the map there. But if Tiger didn't deny on last, maybe Connor wouldn't have had on second already. So it's just small things right now that add up for Se7en to not be that amazing. Still good, they're still on the upper hand here by a little bit. Obviously they have the round up, and they have advantage. So it's not like they're in a bad spot by any means. But it tries to lead through, check for stakes. It's the first one to die anyway. So this exchange is not going well already. Drag got denied and choke as well. Not much in terms of rotation, they mostly keep here. Get amps behind, which is something, but Stark and Tiger are trying to check that still. Wants to help out a little bit. But they don't really have much of game plan right now. Amps tries to commit. Drag as well. All of which would have been a bit better if they were able to do more from Victor. The Draymond just abandoned Domo. Well, one side clearly abandoned the other. Taking suggestion to who did the mistake there. But they were just super far away from each other for no reason. And it actually is really bad right now because they just kept on dropping people. Including themselves. That was a ballsy drop as well. Because he was already low and there was like 3 people next to him. And yeah, this needs to be around. If you mess up now, you just don't deserve the round to begin with. But yeah, this is the tie. Going into golden cap, which should be somewhere. Bit of a longer golden cap, I think. See how this goes. Ascent had like mostly better midfights, I think. Which obviously puts you in the upper hand immediately, but the last one, the most recent one, was in Se7en's favor, as far as I remember. Is this the golden cap? Should be right. Anyway, just aggressive start all around. Each side wants the other medic dead, but it goes better for Se7en. And again, we've seen this before. And you should see it every time we come into this situation, which is, you know, their medic dies, you just didn't play it safe. Hightail it out of mid, just keep your medic alive at all costs. Because trying to desperately win this would just end up making your medic an easy target. So they just wait a second, get spots back. And back on Spy really quickly here. Which so far had mixed results. But it also killed Raymond once, I think. So, you know. You try to slow things down here to give Amps the time he needs. Spy is only that fast. And surprisingly enough, nobody died there, which is great in itself, but Amps is still not in position to do much here. So he's just slowly crawling up there. The longer nothing happens, the more spaces I'm gonna get for free, which is gonna go all the way to lobby. Even do this now. They're not gonna get much further without some sort of fight. Or backup. But at least Amps is able to do something here. Which is walk in front of a Flash and die. That stab needed to happen on mid. It really did. That way they wouldn't have lost second to begin with people. He was just too slow on that. Drag dying here as well. What did Drag die? I missed that. That might be an important detail. Because earlier Drag and Syl got like baited out by 1v1s. They really shouldn't have taken to begin with. Anyway, Se7en is doing the thing where they throw everything they have onto the point. Hoping to A, get a lot of cap time on it, which could cheese out around to begin with, and if not, then you have a lot of cap time for a later attempt. But also get some kills to create some sort of opportunity, some sort of small opening for the second go. None of which worked too well this time. They got in anyway. That's unfortunately all that happened. They got some kills, but they traded only. Not onto anything that meant a whole lot. And more importantly, they didn't get any cap time. If they got like half the point capped right here, this would have been still worth it, even if they couldn't. Even if it didn't, you know, resulted in a decent push or something. It would have just kept on increasing pressure onto the point. For every further opportunity they get into last. I mean, they go flash sniper, might as well, it's a golden cap, take your time. Guns up, which is a problem. Because they won't have the amount of freedom they had before, trying to do silly things like that. At least not from over the point. Everybody for sure knows the sniper's here now. Which you can't exactly hide for a long time anyway. Question is how safe they played around that. Flash is doing his best to just rotate. Not be in the same spot for too long, in case, you know, somebody else goes sniper as well. I like how Captain shot like 3 rockets in a row, too high for the sentry gun. Anyway. They more or less got rid of it. They didn't exactly destroy it, but they would have if not for the switch. So that counts technically. Amps go spy here. Because that worked well last time. I mean, might as well. It's not like Se7en did much with one pick before. You never know. The thing is, if he dies and the sniper gets a pick at the same time, it's really bad. At the moment, that's not what's happening. The soldiers just catch out 2 people trying to play aggressive. Which is nice on paper. In practice, it means everybody is just going into positions where Amps is not, basically. So all the time he takes to get into a good position to try to decloak and backstab was actually negated by the fact that people got kills. And they were just actively walking away from him. And yeah, even if Amps wasn't spy here, we've seen Se7en lose 2 people and still not lose the point. Because, you know, that's how you do it. If you don't push last, you might as well have them push second and win now instead. Which again also happened. It's not exactly like Se7en is doing nothing risky. They take the exact amount of risk they want to, basically. They'll just fly in, damage hits all over corner. The moment the defensive setup was gone. And again, like, there was a small hope to push out, they switch off classes, and suddenly there's just soldiers in Connor's face. And this might as well be it right now. If Se7en executes well here, and there's still a pyro on the heavy. Which is almost a pyro on the gun. Okay, push comes in, Stick's not dead. Push back. They don't get any kills here, which is good. Captain wants to start playing the point. So they avoided most of the, but they're still in spawn, which is obviously not where you want to be. Especially with 2 soldiers around. That could like box you in there even more, but Cap took a lot of damage trying to play point. While everybody was busy trying to force the back into spawn to begin with. So he's an easy pick. Am's reads where Stark is going. Gets a bunch of damage onto him. Might get the kill, even if he doesn't, he's at least weak. That's the start. Preferably wants to get it, because Tiger's coming back to deal with that. Gets it with Drag's help, will die. It's 2 for 1 though, and that's pretty good. Connor also has massive ad. You can't really dream of pushing out with this. Tiger dies late. Maybe a little bit now. Still have to be scared a little bit because spawns are coming in. Ash is alone in front of Connor. I don't know how that happened, but that's the like game-losing play if I've ever seen one. Never mind. Yeah, that's how you lose. And Flash is just alone in river in front of Drag. But he's not a medic, so it's not as bad. So big throw on that part. And yeah, I mean, Se7en beefed this before. So like there's a chance they beef it again, and they get an early force, which helps. This time Drag died for it, which is a little worse than last time. But still, on paper, this is not a free take for Se7en yet. This time however, they play a bit more aggressive under the point, get stuff on there. Take it this way. Oh, hi Quadu. Connor was walking river alone when you switched off heavy. Yeah, it looked like it. That's a really unfortunate way to lose this, especially with how close it was to get into the golden cap to begin with. And how good an opportunity to actually leave last this was. After a good hold before that. Really unfortunate, but there's always a second chance. Well, I mean first you have to play against Feint. But then maybe. It was a decent game at least. But not like it's gonna be over next time at the start already. Unless Connor doesn't come again. That might change things. But yeah, that was a really interesting game actually. Go to more. Well, there's only 2 more Prem games left and like every lower diff final, I guess. I don't know how much I care about those necessarily this season, because, you know, if you don't know people on those teams, it's not as interesting. I guess Div 1 finals are interesting as well. Because the game between those 2 teams has been interesting so far. So I'm looking forward to do like the last 2 Prem games, Div 1 finals. And I know like 1 person on one of the other playoff teams in the lower div. So there's still a bit to go here. And I still have like a backlog of ESEA games to go through at some point. Which I will do soon. I've played like a ton of times. But this time I mean it. Alright, but that's enough for now. And yeah, hey, I didn't drop any frames. That's not common. But yeah, I want to do more going forward. Did you do Froyo vs Bloyo yet? No, I didn't. And I heard it was decent, so that's something I definitely want to do. I'm probably gonna like ask people that know more about ESEA this season. Because I stopped watching after week like 3 or something like that. So I'm gonna like inform myself what were good games. I heard that one like a ton of times, so I'm gonna watch that for sure. Maybe even tomorrow, because that's the one I already know is decent. Or like the next few days anyway. And then I look what other games were interesting between the other teams. Also, I haven't watched Se7en Swift at all. Like, not even on the cast. Because I was watching something else. I think I was watching your game at the same time, if that was the day that happened anyway. Actually, yeah, I was casting your game that day, I forgot. So yeah, I think I want to watch that too. If I can find the demo. I couldn't last week, so who knows if it exists. Maybe I can ask Alba or somebody. But yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do more soon, and not do anything for a month again. But yeah, this was an interesting game. Looking forward to the last 2 Prem games. Should be a lot of fun.